what's going on? YST here, welcome back to another raid video. We've got another crazy clan boss setup for you guys today. You know how we go on this channel, we like to make loads of compositions without unkillable, counter attack, all that crazy stuff. And of course, it's using the 2-1 ratio once again. But today, we've got the main man Cardiel, so we can have a lot of fun with him. And a big shout out to Turbo Taco who let me use his account and showcase this ClanBoss Run for you guys today. Of course, the champions we're using are endgame, but hopefully even if you don't have these champions, maybe you might have one or two of them, it can give you an idea of how you may want to use them in your current ClanBoss team. So it's always good to kind of watch these things. You can skim through to the end and see the ClanBoss Run and just have fun watching it. So today we've got Cardiel as the lead, we've got UnderPriest Brogni once again, amazing addition to the game. If you managed to fuse him, congratulations. Lydia Deathsiren, of course there's two ways to use this here. On Void we're going to be using Raz and Scarhide, but on Spirit today we're using Lydia because of the Void affinity, because we do not want to get weak hits. On a lot of ClanBoss videos that I do, people say, can you do it on Spirit affinity? So we thought, let's dive this team into Spirit and showcase how a 1 key team could work for you. And also we've got Brago, amazing champion once again. And we've got Mashalled to reach the 2-1 ratio alongside Cardiel's speed aura. So let's get this rolling and go over the gear, the masteries and anything you may need to know. And let's get into it. Okay, so we've got Cardiel on the screen. And as you can see, he's got 2 on his account. So I'm extremely jealous. I really love this champion. Amazing. If I can get him one day, I'll be a happy man, won't we all? So let's go over the skills first and see exactly what he's bringing to the table. So on the A1, attacks one enemy, heals all allies by 7.5% of their max HP. Amazing heal, by the way. If you think about how much times he's going to be taking a turn, your team's going to be pretty much full HP until you start getting slammed by that clan boss when he takes you out towards the end of the run. And then this part here, we don't really need to go over because we're just discussing the ClanBoss Run today. And this doesn't kind of require for that. On the A2, amazing. Removes all debuffs from all allies and then places a block debuff buff and a revive on death buff on all allies for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown once booked. The revive on death buffs cannot be removed. So in the clan boss, you want to have block debuffs up so him and UnderPriest Brogni will go back to back and keep it consistent, and also places a revive on death. So in the later stages, which I will show you, this comes in very clutch towards the end. So let's get into the A3. Places a 30% increased crit rate buff and a 30% increased crit damage buff on all allies for 2 turns, then teams up with all allies to attack the target enemy. Really solid and on a 4-turn cooldown. We're going at a 2-to-1 ratio, so this is very consistent, and decreases the cooldown of this skill by 1 turn if an enemy is killed from this attack. Of course, you can't kill the clan boss, so this doesn't really require here, but in other areas of the game, really solid ability. And then on his passive, we got a 20% less damage reduction if you're attacked from champions under these specific factions. Of course, in the clan boss, this doesn't really require, but this is where it gets really nice. Whenever an ally attack has a 30% chance once booked to team up with them and join their attack. So when everyone's taking their turns, believe me, this procs so many times and it adds up to so much damage over time. Believe me, it's crazy to see. This champion will attack with their default skill always, and always joins the attack if Sissy or Flametongue attacks and they are on the same team. We're not using this champion today, but 30% to always attack when an ally attacks. Really solid ability. And then we got the speed aura of 19%, which we're using to make this work for the 2-1 ratio. Overall, amazing champion, and congratulations on pulling your second one yesterday over the 2x voids period. Okay, so let's get into the artifacts. The main aim goal here is to have a Stalwart kit. So if you could put a Stalwart on this champion, it's highly recommended. But today we've only got some broken sets just to meet the requirements. So we've got HP percent here with some crit damage. We've got HP percent and speed. Defense percent and HP percent. Then we've got double roll speed with some crit rate gloves. Defense percent with some speed. Speed on the boots. Then we've got defense with a triple roll speed here. That's a really nice piece. Crit damage on the amulet. And defense here with some HP percent. This guy can smack, believe me. And on the masteries, we've got offense tree going down to War Master, and the traditional defense route of going down to retribution and deterrence. And the overall stats that we're using on Cardiel is 49,000 HP. We do recommend closer to 60,000 because he is your stun target. Because when you get to like turn 43, 44, 45, what happens is, depending on RNG, sometimes he can take that slam and he can die. But that's where the revive on death can come into play, which I'll get into a bit later on. 2,500 attack, 4,200 defense, 236 speed, 94% crit rate, and 130% crit damage, and these we don't really care about. So that's Cardiel covered, and let's get into the next champion. And once again, you can see on the side here, he's got 2 UnderPriest Brognis. Some lucky guy. So if you want to see some crazy compositions of 2 UnderPriests and 2 Cardiel maybe, let me know in the comment section, we could try and work something out. So UnderPriest Brogni, I'm going to go over the skills again. In my last video, we did use him. Amazing champion, I love him, and he's probably my favorite fusion, by the way, compared to all the ones that I've managed to do. Okay, attacks one enemy, 45% chance, and it goes up to an extra chance of a HP burn on the ClanBoss. We've discussed it before. Amazing ClanBoss champion for the HP burn. And then we have to start off with the A3 because that's how we prioritize it in the ClanBoss run. Places a block debuff buff and a 50% increased attack on all allies for 2 turns, and also places a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns, equal to 30% of this champion's max HP. Really solid ability, especially if you don't have a Valkyrie. On this channel, I don't like to showcase a lot of counter-attack teams, and without Valkyrie, it's really hard to get a 1 key. But with the addition of UnderPriest Brogni in this game, it's helped a lot of people out, I believe. And this shield buff cannot be removed, which is amazing for the Scarab King. And then on the A2, attacks all enemies, 75% chance, 100% once booked of removing 1 random buff from all enemies. So when you talk about the increased attack on the ClanBoss, he can take that off for you and make sure you're not taking as much of a hit on the Affinity ClanBoss. And has a 75% chance, 100% again, of removing 1 random debuff from all allies. Then he increases the value of shield buffs on all allies by 30% of the damage inflicted. So you want to put that A3 up and then follow it by the A2, and then he's going to have that huge shield on all your allies, so when the ClanBoss takes a huge hit, everyone's going to hopefully survive that hit. And then on the passive, whenever an ally under shield buff is attacked, reflects 25% of the damage inflicted on the shield back to the attacker. Also heals that ally by 25% of the damage inflicted on the shield. So when that shield drops off, he's going to heal champions a little bit back up, so they're 100% HP for when that shield gets taken off. And if there are multiple champions on the team with this skill, only 1 will activate. I have discussed it in a previous video. Giant Slayer does reflect back to the ClanBoss, but I'm not sure what the plans are for Palarium to keep it in the game or not to. But right now we do want to use Giant Slayer because it is reflecting and bumping up the damage a lot. So if you're watching this video and for some reason they've taken it off, I apologize, but it's out of my hands. I can only discuss what's in game right now. But personally, in comparison to something like a counter-attack team, I feel that reflecting a Giant Slayer proc isn't as OP as a counter-attack. That's just my personal preference. I see this more of a fun thing than an OP thing because it is pretty hard to make sure the shield is up on every single champion. And then on top of that, you need the RNG of the Giant Slayer to reflect. So I don't know, hopefully they don't take it off. But for now, today, put Giant Slayer on your champion. It is going to work out for you. So offense tree, going down to Giant Slayer, and support tree, going down to Lasting Gifts because he wants to extend the buffs. And on the artifacts here, once again, we do want Stalwart, but this kind of speed requirement is pretty hard to reach to in a Stalwart kit. So if you got it, go for it. If not, broken sets or speed sets. So we've got triple roll speed here, double roll speed, HP percent with some nice accuracy, HP percent with some crit rate and speed, and then we've got speed here with some crit damage. We've got defense here with some attack percent and some speed, and then we got crit damage again with some accuracy, HP, defense, HP percent, all that good stuff. Overall stats, we've got 78,000 HP, which is really nice, so we can get full use of that shield. 1,700 attack, 3,000 defense, 263 speed, 47 crit rate. It's not the best, but of course Cardiel is increasing your crit rate and your crit damage, so it will go up to a little bit higher than this. Then crit damage 162%, and the accuracy, hopefully we can get it up over time. We recommend around 250, so if we can reach 250, brilliant. But today, right now, we've only got 211 on this champion. So that's UnderPriest Brogni, and let's get into the next champion. So next up on the list is Mashalled, and let's go over his skills to see what he's providing for our team. So on his A1, attacks one enemy, heals his champion by 30% of the damage inflicted. Really nice. And then he will also attack enemies under leech debuffs, which of course leads into the A2 here. So he places a 30% increased speed and a 30% increased crit damage buff on all allies for 2 turns. Amazing, and it helps you reach that 2-1 ratio in this composition. So we've got the speed aura from Cardiel, then we've got Mashalled increasing our speed, and it's getting us to the threshold of where we need to be at. You could possibly use a Deacon Armstrong in a very similar tune, but hopefully in the future we can kind of cover a kind of substitute for that. Then places a True Fear and Leech debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. Of course you can't True Fear the ClanBoss, but the Leech, that's what's keeping our team alive, making us not have to use lifesteal sets, which is really nice. And then under A3, attacks one enemy, has an 80% chance of stealing all buffs from the target before attacking, then places a heal reduction. We don't really care about this thing, but places 2 15% continuous heal buffs on this champion for 3 turns. Really nice. And damage increases by 50% against targets who have no buffs. So you don't want to have no buffs on that clan boss, and you want to make full use of this damage increase. And yes, this champion is all booked again. You're going to need the cooldowns if you want to replicate this. Okay, so under artifacts we've got a Stalwart kit. So this champion does have it. So we've got crit rate and speed, double speed here. Then we've got accuracy, crit rate and HP. Speed on the boots, defense percent with some speed and attack percent. Then we've got HP percent with a nice triple roll speed here. Then on the amulet, we've got accuracy with some speed, crit damage with some accuracy, defense with some HP percent and defense percent. And overall stats, we've got 50,000 HP, 2,700 defense, 220 speed that you need for Mashalled. And then this will be 100% with the increased crit rate, so 83%. And then 134% crit damage and a 223 accuracy. Not the best. We do want to increase this over time to 250, okay? And then masteries, we've got offense tree going down to War Master, and then defense tree, we are going to finish it off with the retribution and the deterrence. We haven't got round to it there, so there's a lot of room for improvement in this team. Okay, so that's Mashalled covered, and let's get into the 4th champion. Okay, so today we're using Lydia Deathsiren, which is only because it's Spirit Affinity. When it's Void Affinity, he switches it over to Wrath and Scarhide. So you could use any of these 2 champions, or even a Draco Morph if you're lucky enough to have one. So the main reason for it is just decrease defense and weaken. But seeing Lydia Deathsiren in a ClanBoss team that can potentially do 1 key Ultra Nightmare, it's really fun to watch when you're seeing it. So we're just going to head straight into why we're using this champion. So under A2, attacks all enemies, 75% chance, 100% once booked, of placing a decreased defense and a weaken debuff for 2 turns. Also places a 25% strengthen buff and a 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns. So decreased defense, weaken and strengthen, making our team hit a lot harder and getting full use of our Giant Slayer and War Master procs. And then under A3, attacks one enemy 2 times. The first hit has a 75% chance, 100% once booked, of placing a 25% poison sensitivity debuff for 2 turns. The second hit has a 75% chance of placing a block buffs and a block active skills. In this team today, we're not using any poisons, which is another thing that's making it very impressive. It's kind of just pure out raw damage. And then on the passive ability, none of this kind of occurs for the clan boss. So let's get to the artifacts now. So we've got a triple speed set with some speed, HP percent. We've got accuracy here, speed and some HP. We've got some speed boots to reach the 2-1 ratio. We've got defense percent with some accuracy. Then we've got a crit rate with some speed. We've got accuracy here with some defense percent and some speed. And then we've got HP here with some accuracy. And HP with some nice defense percent roll here, and attack percent and some HP percent. And then overall stats, 50,000 HP, 3,200 defense, 263 speed again, 87% crit rate. Once again, we're going to boost it up, 109% crit damage, and then a really nice accuracy of 325 to make sure we can land that decreased defense and weaken consistently. And yes, you can use Razin, you can use Dracomorph, okay? Lots of people are going to say, can you use these champions? Yes, you can. We're only subbing in Lydia here because she's Void and it's Spirit Affinity, so she's not going to get any weak hits. And then on the masteries, offense tree going down to War Master, and then we've got the defense tree, once again deterrence and retribution. Okay, so that's Lydia Deathsiren, and let's get into the final piece of the puzzle. So let's get into the final piece of the puzzle here, and that is I Am Brago, an amazing fusion champion that we had, and hopefully a lot of you guys do have him on your account. One downfall, he takes a lot of books, but apart from that, really good kit. So what does he do? Attacks one enemy, 20% chance of decreasing the duration of all buffs by 1 turn. It's okay for the Affinity clan boss. And then under A2, places a 60% increased defense buff on all allies for 3 turns, then attacks 1 enemy. The stun part of it, we can't use because that doesn't apply on the clan boss, but make sure you get the cooldown if you can, because you want this on a 3-turn cooldown, alright? So very nice, 3-turn cooldown, not the traditional 2-turn that you see on many champions. And then under A3, attacks all enemies, has a 50% chance of placing provoke. Once again, this doesn't apply for the clan boss, but we're using it to decrease attack debuff on all enemies for 2 turns if he's under increased defense. And then you got a solid decreased attack champion for your team. In a 2-1 ratio team, you can run him as your only decreased attack. If you're running a slower speed team, you may want to use a decreased attack on the A1, so bear that in mind. And then on the passive, which is really nice, he increases defense of all allies by 10% of this champion's defense. So scaling with a nice defense, the rest of your team is going to get a nice little boost for them. And then on the aura, it's only for the Doom Tower. So let's get to the artifacts. Once again, we want to have a Stalwart kit at the end goal, but for now, we've got some broken sets again. So we've got HP percent and speed. We've got HP and defense percent and some speed here. Then we've got defense with some double roll speed. Defense on the boots with a nice triple roll here. Then we've got defense, crit rate and crit damage. And then we've got some crit rate gloves with some crit damage and defense percent. Then we've got accuracy on the banner, crit damage on the amulet, and defense on the ring. And overall stats, we've got a 43,000 HP, 5,800 defense, which is really nice, 195 speed, 111% crit rate, a little bit high, but at least it's not under 100%. And then we got 167% crit damage, and then 234 accuracy. Once again, you want to get it to 250 so you can kind of land it very consistently. And then the masteries, we've got the traditional offense tree, well, a little bit different. We've gone down to cycle of violence here, and we're ending off with War Master. Then we've got defense tree going down to retribution. So that's the gear, the masteries, and everything covered on all of these champions. And remember guys, you don't have to use a Lydia. You can use Raz and Scarhide. The main use for these champions is decrease defense and weaken. So if you can apply that into your team, perfect. All right, so let's get into the ClanBoss team and see what kind of damage you can get and have a lot of fun watching it. So let's get into it. Okay, so on this team here, it's a 6-turn setup. I'm not going to completely talk over it. What I'll do is I'll link it in the description so you can copy and paste and read it, because if I'm just reading it out, you're probably not going to remember it anyway. So we've got Cardiel with the lead. We've got Mashalled to reach a 2-1 ratio with the increased speed and crit damage. We've got UnderPriest Brogni for the big shields and to reflect those Giant Slayer procs and maximize the damage as long as possible. We've got Brago for the increased defense, and we've got Lydia Deathsiren for decreased defense and weaken on the ClanBoss. Really fun composition, and you're going to see Cardiel taking so many extra turns with that passive. It's a lot of fun to watch. And one thing I want to add here is UnderPriest Brogni, you may have seen that the shield went up straight away on turn 1. What you want to do is delay that by 1 turn for Void, but because of Spirit Affinity, you want to put this up straight away to make sure that everything tunes correctly. So have a lot of fun watching it. We'll see where we can get to, and at the end I'll show you the damage for Raz and Scarhide and for Nightmare damage also. So enjoy and let's get into it. Okay, so we got 67.08 million damage dealt. Really impressive. No counter attack, no unkillable. Really fun composition. But if you do want to make this a sustainable 1 key, if you don't have all stalwart gear, what you want to do is, you may have seen Cardiel died at around 1046 there, I believe, or 1045 by the single target stun. So what you want to do is manual play the last 5 turns and make sure he's prioritizing the revive on death, and it should hopefully push you over to that 1 key without a problem. But if you have stalwart, this should go the full 50 turns without a problem, to be honest. But regardless, really solid team. If you're lazy like me and you just want to see a full auto after the setup, it will be RNG of getting the 1 key or falling a little bit short. But if you've got a bit of time, manual play the last few turns and you'll be completely fine doing it. I'll show you the screenshots in a second. But we've got 14 million on Cardiel, 16 million on UnderPriest Brogni. Really heavy damage dealer. I was really impressed by seeing this. Then 7.3 million on Lydia, Brago with 17 million, and Mashalled 10 million. Really great numbers, really great composition. So I'll throw up the damage right now of, if you take the last few turns to manual play, we got 73.2 million and it's very consistent. We've tried it loads of times. And then if you look here, this is the team using Raz and Scarhide. So if you're facing Void, Razin is a really good champion. You can see he's got a lot of damage there with 21 million. So that Giant Slayer procs on his A1, it works out really good. And then I'll throw up now the Nightmare damage. Easy, full auto, you'll get more than damage than you need, and that is the same for every other difficulty. The only affinity you may face a little bit of a problem with is the magic affinity, which we can't really do nothing about. Lots of our champions are spirit here, but you should still be able to get a reasonably good key, but not the best. So try prioritize void, and then if it falls into force or spirit, you shouldn't have a problem getting these high crazy numbers. And guys, if you head into the Great Hall here, you can see there's lots of room for improvement. So the damage we managed to get today, if this was fully optimized, we'd be able to push some crazy numbers. I'm thinking at least 75 to 80 million without the manual at the end. So really impressive. I hope this can give you an idea of your compositions. But yeah, a lot of these teams that we're doing just for fun. We haven't got a Hydra boss, we're stuck with the same clan boss. And to kind of refresh in the game, we just try to showcase some new teams that hasn't been seen before. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.